Diablo 4 had its fair share of success after its release in June this year, even becoming Blizzard Entertainment's fastest-selling title to date. However, this success didn't last long as players started to realize and experience several design flaws about the game. This led to the vast majority of players leaving the game by September, content creators quitting, and several videos and articles pronouncing the game dead. I very much agree with this statement looking at the current state of the game right now, but I've noticed that many commenters, including content creators, are trying to defend the developers and blame everything on the corporate overlords of Activision Blizzard. So I decided to get in the line of YouTubers and make my own Diablo 4 is Doomed themed video with a new twist. My name is Liver, and these are the reasons why the developers themselves deserve the blame for the death of Diablo 4. Let's start with the counter-argument. A lot of people say that Diablo 4 is bad because the strict deadline that was imposed on the developer team, and that's why they didn't have time to polish the game, add endgame features, and release in a better state. They argue that the greed of the corporate overlords ruined the game for us. Moreover, it was the same greed that forced the devs to add the Battle Pass and the shop, both contributing to the ultimate failure. In reality, I would say that neither the shop nor the Battle Pass are responsible for Diablo 4's downfall. Sure, it sucks that the best looking sets are only available through spending money, and the scummy way the currency rewards from the Battle Pass are calculated doesn't help either. But let's be honest, most of us would be willing to excuse Blizzard for these systems if the gameplay was good and engaging. But it's not. And this is where the responsibility of the developers come in, or maybe the lack thereof. In the next part, I'll be listing several problems with Diablo 4, which, in my opinion, had nothing to do with the upper management at Blizzard, but instead caused by the developers, either due to incompetence, carelessness, laziness, or simply not knowing what the player base wants. Number 1. Renown and Altars of Lilith. The horrible system where you were forced to look up an online map and run around for hours to find all the hidden little altars on the map, and you were forced to do many extremely boring side quests or dungeons for multiple hours. I say forced because Paragon points were locked behind this massive time waste of a system, and your character was quite a bit weaker without those. Now, due to the massive pressure from the community, some of the Renown grind was removed in Season 1, but the developers still refused to get rid of it entirely, so you still had to do a large chunk of it, even if you did it on a non-seasonal character. Fortunately, after many players threatened to not return for Season 2, the developers finally caved and decided that if someone has completed their Renown before, they don't have to redo any of it in Season 2 and onwards. Renown is a prime example of how the devs sticked to a terrible system until the very end, and despite constant community criticism, just to artificially prolong the game time for the players. Number 2. Making respecs extremely tedious to do and very expensive. To change your character skills and Paragon board, you have to manually remove hundreds of Paragon points one by one, while paying a large sum of gold in the process. The devs so far refuse to make this atrocious method easier, despite the community literally begging for it for several months now. They might do something about this in Season 2, but I believe that it's unacceptable that nothing happened in this regard for more than 3 months. It seems that for $1 billion company, adding a button to remove all Paragon points from a board at once seems to require months and months of coding. Sure, making it really frustrating to change specialization like this obviously also takes away from the replayability of the game. Number 3. Nerfing character power. In the infamous patch released just before the start of Season 1, the devs nerfed basically all strong attributes along with defenses for all classes. This resulted in a huge uproar from the community, and theories were made about this is how the developers force people to play seasons instead of playing on the Eternal Realm. The non-seasonal characters became much weaker as a result of the nerfs, making it much more difficult to reach endgame goals as compared to seasonal characters, where seasonal powers are present to help the players. The team stated they would never do a patch like this again, but as they say, the damage has been done. This one update was enough to basically ruin the non-seasonal game for a long, long time, if not forever. Number 4. Nerfing dungeon farms one by one. In the early days of Diablo 4, the best way to farm experience was to group farm certain dungeons, and use a specific method to reset and constantly run them for hours on end. Then, when the devs nerfed one dungeon, another similar route was found and farmed. Then, that one got nerfed again. Instead of trying to bring other ways of XP farms to this level, the developers acted like the police, nerfing one dungeon after another, and this was really demoralizing from the viewpoint of the player base. Number 5. The Dungeon Reset Button. The Dungeon Reset button was an easy tool to reset any dungeon the player has completed, and it was already present during the open beta tests in spring. However, for some reason, the devs decided that it was too convenient or didn't waste enough time of the players, so they got rid of the button by release and didn't add it back until Season 1. The players were forced into more complicated ways to reset dungeons, which, once again, artificially prolonged the game time for basically no reason. Number 6. Refusing to add requested features. Rod Ferguson, franchise director of Diablo, confirmed in an interview at Gamescom that there are no plans for a solo self-found mode to the game, in addition to denying the need for a public test realm, despite Diablo 4 being littered with game-breaking exploits such as being able to farm unlimited gold and trading between seasonal and non-seasonal characters. These all but ruined the seasonal economy, and without a PTR, it is likely that something similar will be present in Season 2 too. Maybe Rod should focus on his infamous colonoscopy instead. Number 7. A huge number of smaller problems that the devs still haven't addressed. Barricades waste time during running around on your mount, the leveling experience is dull and slow with certain classes, the free transmog set from the battle pass looks like the interns made it while practicing, the resistance system has been broken since release, there is still no indicator of how long stuns and crowd control will last on your character, rerolling items is too expensive, no loot filters and search functionality, the inventory is extremely limited, and the list goes on and on and on. So, in summary, I refuse to blame the faults of Diablo 4 on the leadership at Blizzard, forcing the team to release the game too early. Sure, this contributed to the lack of features, but as demonstrated in the video, the developer team itself showed multiple signs of incompetence, carelessness, and worst of all, the lack of listening to the community. And for that, I believe that they are responsible for and deserve the downfall of Diablo 4. What do you think? Who ruined Diablo 4 for you and how? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching the video and see you next time.